Hi, my name is Amber, and this is my June wrap-up. The first book that I read this month was Lost at Sea by Brian Lee O'Malley. Lost at Sea is about a girl who decides to go on a random road trip with her classmates, and she also believes that a cat has stolen her soul. It's a very interesting and strange story, and it's a little bit depressing and sad, but it's really beautiful art, really amazing story, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. This is a story about a girl who randomly finds a book in her school library and becomes obsessed with it. She reads it over and over again, knows every word and every line. One day she finds out that one of the illustrations has changed, and that leads to her figuring out that the characters can talk to her. This entire book, the characters are regular people. They're just acting out a play. She soon finds out that the prince would like to escape the book and join the real world. So these two take a journey to figure out how to get him out of the book, and they end up falling in love. It's a really cute and fun story. It's adorable, and it had me grinning and giddy the entire time that I was reading it, and it was the perfect summer read. I gave this 5 stars. The next book that I read for the month of June was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Ready Player One is about Wade Watts, a boy who lives in a world where a virtual reality console called the Oasis exists. The Oasis is basically used for jobs and school and video games and everything else that you can possibly imagine. Everyone uses it, and there's barely any actual human-to-human interaction. The creator of the Oasis passes away, and instead of doing a normal will, he decides to leave an Easter egg in the Oasis for someone to find. And finding this Easter egg leads to you owning everything that he owns, including the rights to Oasis. It's a story filled with adventure and action and romance and hilarious lines, and it's filled with a ton of 80s references to movies, television, and even video games. I was honestly worried that I wasn't going to get into this book as much, but I actually loved it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars. The next book that I read was Carrier of the Mark by Lee Fallon. Carrier of the Mark is about a girl named Megan who moves to Ireland with her father and ends up being drawn to a boy at her school. In this world, random people are chosen to carry the ability of an element. These 4 elements, water, fire, earth, and air, are brought together to bring balance to the earth. The story was really fun and fast-paced, and I enjoyed the characters and the concept a lot. I only had one problem with the story, and that was just that it moved way too fast. The romance did, the story did, everything just went really, really fast. So I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This story is about a girl named Blue who has spent her entire life around psychics, and each psychic that she comes into contact with has told her that she's going to kill her true love. I really enjoyed the characters and the concept, and I loved all the creepiness of the psychics and the ghost, but I was thoroughly confused through most of the book. I do have The Dream Thief, so I plan on continuing with the series and seeing where it goes, but I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I absolutely loved this book. It's about a girl who has the ability to hurt and kill people with just the touch of her skin. I had heard so many great things about this story and had it sitting on my shelf for about 6 months before I actually picked it up. I don't know what took me so long because I love the series and I can't wait to continue with it. The characters are amazing, the writing is beautiful, and the story is just so captivating. I gave Shatter Me 5 stars. The next 2 books that I read this month was actually a duology, and it is The Book of Ivy and The Revolution of Ivy, both by Amy Engel. This is a story about 2 sides of town that were at war, and the way that they found peace was by arranged marriages. Because of the arranged marriages, Ivy Westfall now has to marry the president's son. Her family has been training her for the past few years to kill the president's son, but she ends up finding out that that's a really difficult task once she meets him. I read both these books in a day each. I couldn't put them down, and I absolutely loved the story and the characters. I really enjoyed this duology, but I ended up liking the first book just a little bit more than I did the second one, so I gave the first book 5 stars and Revolution of Ivy 4. The last book that I read in the month of June was Every Day by David Leviathan. This is a story about a character named A, who ends up waking up in a different body every day and has to determine whether he's a boy or girl, who his family is, and what his day is going to be like. One day, A wakes up in the body of a boy named Justin, and throughout living Justin's day, he runs into his girlfriend Rhiannon and ends up falling in love with her. This story is about how they find true love and how their relationship is going to work out since he wakes up every day in a different body in a different town. I really enjoyed the story. The concept is really interesting and new to me. The characters were fun. It's very beautifully written, but it was just kind of a little bit depressing, especially towards the end. I do plan on picking up the second book soon and hopefully seeing where this story continues, but for now I gave this story 4 out of 5 stars. Well, those are all the books that I read in the month of June, and I hope you enjoyed my wrap up, and I'll see you guys next time.